Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain.
I'm Lynn.
And today we're going to be counting down our top 10 favorite board game components. So this is a fun list. Basically, we're not ranking these based on how much we like the games. We're ranking them based on how above and beyond these components are. These are 10 components each that we think in one way or another are just a really cool way to do something in a game. They just are awesome components for some reason. We really enjoy them. Tactically, mechanically, visually, whatever it might be. We just love these components. So, Lynn, did you have issues with this list?
No, I actually didn't.
I was gonna say I went through our board game collection and I just I'd look at a game and I'd be like, is there anything interesting in that game? A lot of them I was looking at the back. I'm like, oh yeah, it has this really cool thing. I didn't have much of a problem with this list either. I actually got to put it together pretty quick. Did you want to go first or second?
I'll go first.
Okay, all right. So without any further ado, I guess we're gonna rush right into this one. We're gonna get to our number 10. Number 10.
My number 10 game component is the cake pieces from the Portal, the uncooperative cake acquisition game.
That's good. Okay, go on.
Because
why are they your favorite?
If they put them all together, they form a cake.
They do. They do. Is there anything else about why they're so awesome, or
no? I just think they're hilarious.
Is it just the look and the tactical?
Yeah, they're like
tactile is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
the tactile nature of them.
They're kind of like a squishy plastic almost.
No, they're not squishy. They're hard plastic.
Really?
But they look. You got the nice colors on them. The different colors. They look like different kinds of cake. They're really.
I just think it's funny.
Okay, so this is 100% on the visuals and the fact that they actually fit together into a real cake.
Yeah.
Not a real cake, but I mean, they fit together to make a circle.
Yeah.
They're the right size for that. Okay, fair enough. I mean, we left this pretty open as to what you can decide makes a really cool piece. So, my number 10 favorites. Oh, before I do it though, did you have anything else you wanted to say about the cake pieces from Portal, the uncooperative cake acquisition game?
No, they just make me happy.
Okay, that's fair. My number 10 favorite piece is the mountain from Dice Miner. So Dice Miner has this vertical board. It's like a mountain, and it's a bit of an angle, but almost straight up vertical. And you drop the dice down in there kind of randomly, and then later you have to draft the dice out of it. But the mountain is so cool, keeping the dice vertically up for everybody to turn it and look at them and see, okay, which dice can I draft? And I just love it. I love how it sits on the table. I love the look of it. I love the functionality of it in the game. And you'll find that in a lot of mine. Most of mine are 100% about the functionality. The functionality of it as a game piece is awesome. It's super cool. I love that about it. There were actually ones on my list that I had to cut off because I was like, well, it doesn't actually serve a function.
I did not do that.
You didn't do that. See, that's how I went with me. Mine was mostly how functional they were. And this is a very functional piece. I love the mountain in Dice Miner, and that's why it is my number 10 favorite game component. Anything you want to say about the mountain in Dice Miner?
No, it's pretty cool.
Number 9.
So my number 9 is Five Tribes, and it's the chunky wooden pieces with the camel and the palm tree and the palaces that you place on the board to signify that you have that space.
So, I mean, they're similar to like a meeple. They're like a palm tree meeple or a house meeple.
They're big and they're chunky, and they didn't have to make. You could have just used like cubes or something.
But they bring you joy.
Yes.
Is that
the
bottom line with your picks?
Yes.
Is it just the aesthetics?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Just you like the big chunky wooden.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, my confusion is there's so many games that have big chunky wooden pieces. I'd have had trouble picking which ones? Are they all just the rest of the list?
But do the other ones have palm trees and camels?
Okay, so it's the aesthetics of what specifically
Yes.
and palaces and okay.
The palace is my least favorite. I like the palm trees.
The palm trees and the camels.
Yes.
Okay, so that is Five Tribes for your for the palaces and camels. The chunky, the palm trees and camels.
Yes.
Is your number 9? Yes.
Yes.
My number 9 is the chess pieces in Paco Shaka. Now the reason for this is that while they look like normal chess pieces, when you look closer, each piece has half of a yin yang in the base. The black pieces are the black half of the yin yang, and the white pieces are the white half of the yin yang. And this is a very functional thing for the mechanics of the game because Paco Chaco is a chess variant where instead of capturing pieces, you join with them when you move into the space, and they form a full yin yang when you join with the other piece. And then that piece can be moved by either player, though each player can only move it as the piece that they have in the union would be able to be moved. And then if you attack that pair of pieces, who can no longer attack themselves, but if you attack it with another piece, it frees the piece of that player that was already in that union as it joins in, and the piece that they already had in the union gets a free move out, and that could possibly attack another pair of pieces in the union to give another piece out and cause these chain reactions, and you win the game when you join a piece with your opponent's king. But the joining of the pieces together is absolutely, absolutely delightful. I thoroughly enjoy that, and I love how they make the little yin-yang symbols when you do so. So they're really cool. Any thoughts on that?
I've never played it, I don't think.
Well, yeah, you're not a big chess fan, so
Yeah.
I've never asked you if you wanted to. Number 8.
Okay, my number 8 is Ex Libris, and it's the player pieces, specifically the gelatinous cube.
Just the gelatinous cube.
Well, the other ones are okay also,
But if it's
the gelatinous cube is my favorite because it's just like a big, like, green
transparent
cube.
Yeah. So Ex Libris is a worker placement game. Everybody gets a couple of gnomes as workers, which are standard workers, but then you always get an asymmetrical player power piece that are different fantasy creatures, and one of them is the gelatinous cube, and that's your favorite to be. You always love to get the gelatinous cube because then they give extra asymmetrical abilities when you use them. And there's other things too, like there's a snowman, there's a ghost, there's a wizard, there's a vampire, there's like all sorts of different pieces, but you love getting the gelatinous cube.
Yes.
I love that all of yours have just been like, this piece looks so cool and it brings me joy. Like none of them have been because of any kind of functionality whatsoever, which is amusing to me. All right, so is that it for your number 8 then?
Yeah.
My number 8 are the stackable tower pieces in Torres. Torres is Spanish for towers. And in Torres, you are making castles and castle towers and slowly building them up. And they're these wonderful little pieces that fit very snugly on top of each other, perfectly stackable, perfectly identical to each other. All the pieces are the same. And they help you make these castles that really lock in together so they're not going to accidentally fall over, that you then have your pieces climbing up on, because you want to make these castles where you have some of your pieces up. It's like at the highest levels of said castles to get the most points at the end of each round. You spend your rounds taking actions, moving your pieces around, building up the castles, and moving into the correct positions. Torres is a lot of fun, and building the castles brings me immeasurable amounts of joy. I just love stacking the tower pieces on each other. It's very fun.
It's a terrible game.
Dare you.
It's too much math.
Number 7.
My number 7 is Everdell, and it is the giant tree.
Okay, this one almost made my list, but I cut it off because of how it's so not needed functionally. Again, because with mine, I went all functional, but I agree it is beautiful. What an attention-getting piece.
I mean, the actual resource pieces are nice too, because you get the berries.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But it's really...
But it's the tree.
It's the tree.
Well, the tree makes it stand out. Like, when you play Everdell, like, remember the convention when Everdell came out at Gen Con? And we bought a copy, and then after we bought it and we were talking about how cool it looked, everywhere we saw people playing it, and you immediately saw it because of the tree. You're like, oh, look, they're playing Everdell. And I mean, the tree holds the deck of cards. The tree holds some cards and also some of the animal meeples up top in its branches. I mean, they didn't need to be on a 3-dimensional tree, but it's a beautiful centerpiece for the game. It really is. Anything else you want to say about the cool tree?
No.
No? All right. So that was your number 7, the
Yes.
Everdell tree. My number 7 is the transparent tiles that you place in Mytholix. Now, Mytholix is a game where you are a Greek or Roman god, and you're moving around the board, and you are trying to defeat certain areas to put tiles on them to gain resources and stuff, and collect cards because you want to have an army and a hero card on your board, which give you extra special abilities and things like that. But the tiles you place on the spaces are great because they're made of this transparent plexiglass, so you can see the stats of the tile, and you can see through it to see the stats of the space at the same time without moving it. And very few games think to do this. They usually have, like, you put a tile over it and it's like, oh, what was under that? You never have to move it. You just look and it's there and you can see through it. And I love that. It was such a good design decision to make it transparent. And while I'm at it, the bases of the gods are transparent too. So again, you can see what space your god is sitting on without having to pick him up. Because again, similar thing, they use the transparent plexiglass components for all of the stuff in Mytholix in that game. But yeah, the transparent tiles in Mytholix are my number 7 favorite component. Thoughts?
Yeah. I thought about putting that game on my list, but I didn't.
So this one just missed your list?
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
Number 6.
I think this is finally a functional thing.
Oh, really? I am on the edge of my seat. What did you choose for your number 6?
My number 6 is ship shape, and it's the cargo holds.
Yes.
That you look into.
Because they have the way they do the holes.
You stack them up and you look through the cargo hold.
This is one that just missed my list. I thought of putting this on and it didn't quite make it. Great component. Go ahead, talk about how it works.
Oh, so you have these like thick, there's like foam core almost.
Yeah, I think there is foam core in between the like laminated sides.
And it's like
basically.
it has like different stuff on it, like rats and gold and cannons
and contraband.
And
you make a random stack of them in the middle of the table.
You stack them, and they have there's like a 3x3 grid that you need to stack them on and fill up all the pieces.
But for this, when it's your turn to draft, you gotta like bid on turn order, and you do it by like looking down through the stack and being like, oh, I think I want the third one.
Yeah.
And then you are like, I need to go third, so I'm gonna bid this card. Yeah, really, really great game and really great component that almost made my list. I'm glad it's on your list since that was one I struggled to cut because actually I really like those a lot, and I agree, very functional. So that was your number 6, yes?
Yes.
My number 6 is the player boards in the game Cloudspire. Now, Cloudspire has these wonderful neoprene boards that you fit together to make the board that you're going to fight over when you are playing Cloudspire. And then, in addition, they have these wonderful neoprene player boards that then you attach to your side of the board. You move them up. But they are so amazingly cool in the way they function. So the thing is, there are statistics in different ways that you have to keep track of on the board. And you do it through sometimes pegs in holes on the board, sometimes in a dice in an open square on the board that you rotate to certain size to keep track of how much of a resource you have. And sometimes a poker chip that looks like the wheel, like a roulette wheel with all the numbers on it, that you put in an area and turn to face a pointer for how much you have of that particular resource, whatever it might be. And all of that is so satisfying and so cool. And also, in each case, the perfect way to keep track of what it is you're keeping track of. It all works really well. And the reason they're different is because they are different resources that need to be kept track of different numbers of. Like the dials, the poker chips that are used as dials have the largest number of things to keep track of. So they have a ton. And that's why they're done that way. And the dice have like the least, so they're just a die. But yeah, it's really cool, and I really enjoy the player boards in the game of Cloudspire, and that's why they're my number 6 favorite component.
Okay, I don't think I've ever played it.
I don't think you've tried it. No, it's not your sort of game. I never asked you to try that one.
Number 5.
My number 5 is the Duke, and it is the little wooden pieces. I like chunky wooden pieces, apparently.
But there's a big functional part of these too.
Yeah, I didn't say everything was non-functional. I put most of the non-functional things in the bottom.
Yeah, but you were just focusing on the chunky woodenness of it. What about the functionality?
Well, yeah, I mean they're the player pieces, but they're like
but the fact that they have a diagram for all the possible moves on the piece is so great.
I just like the chunky wood though. It could have anything on it, and I would be like chunky wood.
Get your minds out of the gutter in the comments there, by the way. Okay, so
yeah, so it has the diagram of how they move on both sides. Yeah.
Well, it changes from side to side too, because when you make a move in the Duke, you flip it to the other side, which changes its move, which is also really cool. It's a really cool abstract strategy game with pieces that are constantly in a state of flux for how they function. Yeah, the Duke is great, and the tiles are great, and this is definitely one of the more functional pieces that you have picked for your list so far. So that was the Duke's tiles. Was your number 5?
Yes.
My number 5 is the component that made me think I wanted to make this list. This is the one that I immediately thought of and was like, I should make a list of really cool components that went above and beyond. And that is the ingredient dispenser for Potion Explosion. Because this is one of the coolest, just functionally coolest components of all time. It's why I made it all the way down to my number 5. So basically, it is a bunch of cardboard punch-out pieces that fit together to make this little dispenser with a bunch of sloping down ramps that the marbles get poured into the top of, and then they slide down the ramps and make these lines of marbles. And when it's your turn, you have to pick a marble to pull out. And when you pick a marble to pull out, if marbles of the same color click together, they explode, and you pull those out too. And if more marbles of the same color click together, they explode, and you pull them out too. And then you draft some of them to place on your potions, and ones you could not use, you pass on to your opponents, who get a chance to draft marbles as well to place on their various potions. The marbles representing the various ingredients that go into the magical potions. But the dispenser is so fun. It's just, I have never seen someone who gets to see the dispenser for the first time not get like excited. They always go, oh wow, what is that? That is so cool. Because it just looks great on the table, and it's just super fun, don't you think?
Yeah.
Number 4.
My number 4 is Kaptain Starfarers, and it's the ship. What?
Nothing. Didn't say anything. Go on.
I know it's going to be on your list somewhere. Probably number 1.
So why don't you tell us all why the ship is so awesome?
Because you get to put rockets on it and guns on it and
freight rings.
And freight rings. Yeah, those are not as fun.
And then the shaking.
Yeah, and then you shake the ship and the little marbles come down, and it shows you like how far you move and if you have an encounter.
So to explain, there you have a personal rocket. Every player has a personal rocket ship to represent the capabilities of their ships on the board. You put guns, freight rings, and rockets on there to represent extra ability in fighting, terraforming planets or carrying things, or speed. And every turn, instead of rolling dice, you shake the ship, and there's a little thing in the bottom where different color little balls come down. And if a black one comes out, you get an encounter. Mm-hmm. And if other ones come out, it just tells you how far your ships can move, then plus the number of rockets you have. Does that basically cover it?
Yeah.
And that is all in Kaptain Starfarers, which is the modern remake to Starfarers of Catan, which was one of the games that got us into modern board gaming back in like the year 2000, I think it was. And my number 4 is the rocket from Kaptain Starfarers.
Okay.
It's so funny how that happens sometimes when we have like the exact same pick on a list at the exact same place on that list. But yeah, this is a great component. Absolutely.
Number 3.
My number 3 is Woodlands, and it is the clear film that you put over your maze that you make.
You've been trying to get this one on like every list we do lately. but I agree. The clear film is pretty cool. So, okay. Go on, explain.
Okay, so you make a little maze.
Based on the film being in the middle of the table.
With your tiles, there's stuff on the film, like a person that you need to get to another spot on the film, and things to pick up and things to avoid, and then you make your maze and you put the film on top, and then you see if your person can do all the things they need to do while avoiding the things they need to avoid.
Right. So yeah, actually I thoroughly agree. This is a really good component. It's just one I didn't think of. But if I had it, might have made my list, because actually that component is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I thoroughly agree. My number 3 is the bases for the miniatures in Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles. Now, Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles is a tabletop miniature game where you do dog fighting with the ships from the Battlestar Galactica reboot series. The game is tons of fun. It works off a similar system from the same designers of games like Wings of Glory and Sails of Glory. But being that it's in space and the rules of moving around space are different, you're able to do this thing where you can fire your thrusters in one direction and then fire your maneuvering thrusters to turn sideways and face sideways to just sort of, carry the inertia past your enemy while you're shooting at them, kind of, literally flying sideways and shooting at an enemy as you go by. And to represent this, the base can be clicked around so it has the marker to show which way the ship is going, but then you can also see which way the ship is facing and which way it can shoot at. And that is so cool and so fun, and the clicking of it is so satisfying. And I thoroughly enjoy it, and that's why the bases of the fighter ships in Battlestar Galactica Starship Battles are my number 3 favorite game component of all time.
Number 2.
So my number 2 has already been mentioned.
Let me see if I can guess. Hold on.
Okay.
It was already mentioned. Hold on. Is it the potion explosion dispenser?
Yes.
Oh, I knew it.
Is the marble dispenser.
It's so cool. I knew that had to be on your list. It's too fun.
I had thought about the dice miner thing too, but I thought that they were too close, and I didn't want.
Well, I included.
I didn't want too many functional components on my list.
What? This is too useful. I can't include this.
Yeah.
What? Well, you included one. This is a very functional component.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say, what's that other one? Is it Gizmos that has a similar dispenser, but it's only one row? I didn't put that on the list because I thought that was way too similar to the potion explosion dispenser. Plus, it's nowhere near as cool because it only dispenses one row of marbles versus the potion explosion one, I think dispenses like 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
There's a bunch. Okay, anything else you wanted to say about it while it's on your list?
No.
For your number, that was your number 2, right?
Yep.
So my number 2 is the trays. I know this sounds weird, but let me explain. The trays in the game Wasteland Express Delivery Service. So Wasteland Express Delivery Service is a heavy pick up and deliver game with combat. And the thing is, you're playing out this kind of like Mad Max world where you're driving trucks around and picking up things and selling them other places and upgrading your truck. The thing is, this is a very heavy game with lots of components. And if it wasn't for the way they did the insert trays, the setup and breakdown would be a ludicrous chore, like it is for a lot of other heavy games with lots of components. But it's not. And the reason it's not is every part of the insert is just a tray that you literally take out of the box, take the lid off of, and it's ready to go. And it makes setup about 3 minutes, breakdown about 5, and that's it. Because the breakdown is literally putting everything back in the trays and then putting the trays back in the box. And it's phenomenal. It makes what would be, again, a game that is amazing to play and you love to play. It would make it that one of those things, if they didn't have these trays, you'd be like, oh, I want to play it, but I don't want to have to do the setup. This helps you avert that, and I think is one of the best decisions they made in the production of Wasteland Express Delivery Service because of how awesome, how absolutely awesome those trays are.
I agree.
And now it is time for number 1.
Okay, my number 1. My number 1 is The Adventures of Robin Hood, and it is the board with the tiles that you flip over.
Yeah, you peel the tiles out and flip them over, and sometimes you just remove them, all for the storyline things, because it's all things like you investigate or kill a guy.
Yeah.
Like you kill a guard.
And then you flip them over.
You flip them over. It is really cool. That's a newer game in our collection. We just reviewed this one not long ago, and thoroughly. And this is a very functional component too. Look, you're slipping. You're having to put the functional components on.
I put them all. I had like half fun and half functional.
You put the fun back in functional.
Yeah.
Is that it for your number 1?
Yeah, that's it.
The board and Robin Hood, which is great.
Yeah.
Great choice. This is one I thought of but didn't include. But yes, absolutely great choice. My number 1 component is a component for a lot of games. It is the blanks. So when I was looking around our collection and I saw the blanks, it suddenly struck me, this is a component for a ton of games. An absolute ton of games. Because there are so many different games of the blanks. Now, some games of the blanks are bad, and some games of the blanks are great, and some games of the blanks are just okay. But every blank is a component for every game. And some games are better the more blinks you have. So having multiple sets of blinks makes them great. Like there's certain games in particular. I'm going to throw the pictures up of some of my favorite games from the Blink series on the screen right now. But there's certain games in particular that are really awesome. And the more blinks I have, the happier they make me because I can play them with larger amounts of blinks. But yeah, blinks are a lot of fun and they're a great component for all of the great games in blinks. Even the blinks where the game in it itself is maybe a lousy game, it's still a great component for one of the better games. And that's what's freaking cool. That's why it had to be my number one, because they're, if you don't know, the blinks are all, and I didn't mention this, they're all electronic little hexagons that you attach them together with magnets that are on them, and then you set the blink that you want to play the game of to teach all the other blinks that game, and then you play it. And they're electronic, and they light up, and they have different colors. And like I said, some of the games are absolutely amazing, and those ones, blinks are a great component for. Thoughts?
It's a component.
Oh, you didn't think they're a cool component, though? The little electronic light-up components of the blinks? Okay, fair enough. So that was it, though. That is our top 10 favorite components for board games. Our top 10 favorite board game components. Let us know what your favorite board game components are down in the comments down below. Also, let us know what you thought of our list. And if you enjoyed this top 10 list and you'd like to see us do more top 10 lists like this, be sure to give it a like. Share it on all forms of social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to The Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on. Camel, palm tree. Oh, hold on. Puppy bluebird. Oh, yes. Ow. Ow. Those are claws. What are you doing? Do you want to give me a kiss? No? You just want to be up here? Oh, no, you do want to give me a kiss. Okay. Okay. You going to tell me a secret? Do I have food on my hand or something? He's like nibbling at my fingers. Give me little licks. Okay. I love you too. Why don't you go play with your toys? I love you. I love you. You're so cute.
He's doing his pibble nibbles.